Microphone check. Yo,
I may give you 5 minutes.
what's up, brother?
What's going on, Jerry?
Not much. Dude, did you hear about this New York shooting shit that's going on?
No, what happened?
Okay, so let me see. I'm gonna share this real quick. Bear with me, brother. How are you doing today?
Oh, up when I'm not supposed to be, but thought I'd chill with you for a minute. Go ahead.
You're not what?
I'm up when I'm not supposed to be because of a cat emergency, but you don't want to hear about all that shit.
Oh, okay. Actually, it sounds kind of interesting, but anyways, let's see.
There's NASA calling me. I'm there. Hang up on them.
Fucking NASA.
They call me every morning.
All right.
Here, let's see who it is. Fuck it. Hello,
Yes. Hi, I'd like to speak to David Hinkle.
this is David Hinkle. What's up?
David, good morning. This is Andy from Canadian Pharmacy.
Canadian
Calling with
Pharmacy.
medication.
Dude, can you believe the Earth is flat? It's crazy.
You got an echo, man. Do I have the echo? Shit, I
Oh
I'm the
no.
one echo on my base. Go ahead. There was a Canadian pharmacy trying to sell me some Viagra. Calling me. Think I should have got some. Oh, you're on mute. Let's shit out your chat room if there's anybody out there.
All right. You can hear me, right? My mic is good. No doubt.
Your mic is good.
Sweet.
Your audio is nominal.
Nominal. I like that.
That means good, I think.
All right. So we're going to go down to this screen here.
We shout out your chatters. Right now it's Merle Beauregard, and that's it.
Merle, what's up, man? Merle, you're not on my list. Can we add Merle to the conversation? Merle, how do I get a link?
How do you do that? I know how to do it in an email. If you want me to give him I can give him my email.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
Well,
You want to come on, Merle's?
Because I want to share this. And I know that Lift Avail won't mind.
Here, I'm going to put my email in the chat, Merle. If you want to come on, just email me.
There we go. Okay, so this is what I woke up to today. Actually, he won't have one.
My email's in the chat. But anyway, you're talking about a New York shooting or something?
Yeah, There's a let me get on Google first because I'm gonna have to get on Twitch to show you this.
All right.
It already knows. Ain't that something? Type in a T and it already knew. Twitch TV. Okay. Log in. There it is. Thank you, Twitch. Twitch ain't a bad deal, man. I might.
Is Twitch censoring flat Earth content?
Did you hear that audio?
All right, kept me out.
Oh
No, I
shit!
did
I
not.
gotta share my screen first. Okay. So
Yeah, I'll see my icon right now.
screen share. Application window, Chrome, Twitch. Share the screen. Okay. Now, are you seeing what I'm putting down?
Hold on a second.
Sent to everyone.
Not yet. There it is. You got it.
Okay. Now, did you see that? Did you hear that lady say this looks weird?
He's faint. The audio's on, but they turn it up a little bit. You can.
Okay. So you can hear the audio.
But you need to turn it up. Yeah.
All right. I will turn it up.
Turn it up to 11. Who is this lady? Some news reporter or something?
No, this is Nathan Stoltman.
Okay. He's a good dude. He's even open-minded about the globe, I think.
Oh, he's a flat earther. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Well, from what
He
I've heard
won't,
him say.
he won't come out and make it official, but right.
Okay, here he is.
Go ahead.
You hear it?
Yeah, I'll mute up here if I can.
All right, so
Is he talking? I can't hear him.
he's not talking yet. I'm trying to
All right.
find.
All right. I'll shut up. Can't hear it. I can't.
You can't hear him?
No. Okay, I can barely hear him now. Just turn it up.
Okay, that's the best you can. That's the best I can give you. Can you hear it?
It's really faint, man. I don't know why it ain't working. You can't turn it up any.
That's as much as I can get it turned up.
Hmm.
Can you watch it on the YouTube? What's it like on the YouTube page?
Here, let me check. Let me mute here so I can check. No, man, I'm sorry. It's still really fine, even on the watch page. I don't know what's wrong. It just sounds real muffled, garbled.
Oh,
Can't make out what they're saying. I forgot to mute that watch page. Just a second. Fuck. Sounds real muffled, garbled. Can't make out what they're saying. I forgot to mute that watch page. Just all right, I got it. I think.
I gotta make sure that this thing is recent or if it's old. It might be old. There's so many hoaxes nowadays, or not hoaxes. I shouldn't say that on here. Allegedly.
Well, did you hear about the shooting? You just give us the gist of it.
Well, basically in Times Square, a guy was ran over a bunch of people in a car, and they had these two guys that were interviewed seemed to be a little suspicious. I'll just put it that way.
And when did this happen? Like today?
I thought it was today. I mean, I got up this morning and I turned on my usual stuff, and
What's the date on that broadcast that you're playing right there?
This broadcast right here is the most recent, which is why I'm kind of questioning what I saw, because this one's talking about a guy that was on. He got interviewed by CNN, and let me see. Is my screen still sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do this. So basically, YouTube did or not YouTube, CNN did an interview with this gentleman. He's a college dropout, and who knows what the hell the reasoning behind it is, but let's see if I can see it on here. CNN interview with college. The hell?
Shout out to ADR and P Mars are out there now too.
P Mars, you know what I'm talking about, right? Hey, radicalizing censorship.
Anybody in the chat know about a recent shooting in New York? Type something.
How come it's not showing it here?
I don't know how many viewers we got right now.
I'll show you. Lift the veil. Fuck it. This one right here. Can you hear that?
It's real low, man. You can hear a girl mumbling, but that's about it, at least from my end.
Check out the watch page.
I'm playing the watch page. I'm playing the watch page on my phone. Listen. I'm playing the watch page on my phone. Listen.
Big New York Times piece that ran in the Sunday New York Times. The Sunday New York Times, right above the fold.
Now it's working.
One section. It's this big full color article about this kid, Caleb Kane. It was some unfortunate, misguided young man looking for truth in all the wrong places, wandered onto this innocent looking platform, YouTube, and found the alt-right, found Stefan Molyneux.
Stefan Molyneux. That's so funny.
That guy did a flat earth debate a couple years ago. Go ahead.
Did
Yeah.
he? He also did an April Fool's joke about flat Earth, which was really pissed me off.
Yeah.
Which he miraculously recovered from while staying on YouTube the entire time. A depressed young man named Caleb Kane. Now he's on CNN, and they've escalated the rhetoric, care of Caleb Kane himself. We have a massive escalation of the battle against free speech. So I'm going to go through this video. Thanks for joining me. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. Behind me is DOUCHE. Prepare for the show. I'm wearing one of our t-shirts. Crypto's been doing well. We sell t-shirts to get by because we don't get clicks or locally. We don't go say, and I don't want to get too far in this guy's head. Well, it's okay. They won't let anybody see this video. So it probably won't.
He looks like Cameron from.
But I do feel bad for the kid. He's depressed. He's sad. He's sad since he went viral. Since he wanted to be a YouTube star, you can tell that's his subtext. He made a video, his very first video ever, my descent into the alt-right pipeline. Won him 442,000 views so far. Explained how he ran into Stefan Molyneux one day and then things just went downhill from there. Here he is. Like I said, I hesitate. He has a face. He has a face that you want to punch, and it looks like somebody already did because he's missing some teeth too. So I don't know. Maybe that was getting in fights with his liberal friends over his radical ideas,
ADR,
which was apparently what happened when he started dating a Christian girl and thinking that genders were determined at birth by nature. That's one of the radical.
Sure, this guy's not going to copyright you, right? He monetizes his channel.
Maybe one of his left-wing friends was Antifa and hit him in the face with a pole.
Hey Mars, good job, by the way,
time.
Yesterday.
Your personal story. I think it is so fascinating. So
he's wearing a polo shirt. By the way, he's wearing a polo shirt. I showed up with a polo shirt to a Antifa rally by accident, and they said I was a Nazi, and they mugged me, stole my camera. Anyway, that's the left. That's the left wing, by the way. He's wearing a polo shirt. If you went to an Antifa rally, they'd say he was a Nazi and steal his phone and wrap him up in a banner and then make him leave for wearing that polo shirt. So hopefully he's talking about banning polo shirts too. That was a side side story. But speaking of radicalization,
You sure this guy ain't gonna copyright you, right, Jared?
Somewhere around, as I understand it, 2015, you were sort of at loose ends. You had dropped out of college. You were looking for direction. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, at the time you would describe yourself as liberal. And somehow online, you found your way to these alt-right
actually appreciate it, probably.
and websites. And then describe what happened.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Basically, I was depressed during that period of time and looking for an outlet for that depression, and I turned to YouTube.
by the way, once again, they're trying to paint the impression that anybody can go to YouTube and be influenced by ideas and get radicalized. These are ideas that you can find, as Jimmy Dore pointed out today, at your local bookstore or street corner. These are ideas that people have actually had for a long time, and they just happen to be on this thing called YouTube where people go on the internet. He was depressed. He's still depressed. He made a video about how depressed he was a week ago.
I'll be depressed too. Look at his face.
Becoming a liberal didn't help. If anything, it sounds like being a conservative was helpful, although he said he got isolated.
Poor guy's caught up in the left-right bullshit. This is down to personal choice, you know.
I'll play more. Sorry.
Watch what you want. Think
I
what
found
you
a man
want.
by the name of Stefan Molyneux, and his content really helped me in a lot of ways. But what I didn't realize.
I'm sorry, Dave. What'd you say?
Just saying, this is kind of down to personal responsibility. You know, you watch what you want, think what you want. He's blaming somebody else for he's depressed from watching YouTube videos, basically. Anyway, go ahead.
No, you're right. What the hell? How old are you, man?
Yeah. People just can't take personal responsibility these days.
Hey, what is CNN doing wasting their time on this fucking joker? Oh, they must have an agenda.
There's no way a mainstream media source would have any agenda, would they? No way. No.
No, they would never do that.
Nah.
Realized was I was being given a political philosophy, and over time, my political ideas started to change quite drastically.
Well, then your original idea must have sucked. Fucking douche.
His first problem is he believes there's a left and a right.
Yeah, right? My ideals were so weird until I started listening to somebody else. Fuck off.
Pretty clear to anybody in my life at the time. And really.
So once again, he found Stefan Molyneux helpful. I have another video from a guy that wanted to rebut this. I'm going to go over it on DLive after this for people who want to tune over. From a guy that said Stefan Molyneux basically saved his life. And that video has 55 views right now. It's going to get 55. The distribution as this whiner. He says, yeah, it was helpful, actually. And then it was just these weird ideas.
It just took me into a place where I became further isolated from social groups and just started to ostracize a lot of people in my life very unfairly.
Let's talk about some of the things that you came to believe because of these videos. I mean, again, other races were inferior to whites, that women, I think, or at least feminists were overly aggressive and women, I think, were inferior.
Okay. I think, she says, I don't know if he thought any of these things. He doesn't agree or disagree. Women are inferior. I don't know any channels that say that women are inferior. Not sure. Oh, Benjamin says women shouldn't vote, but I think he's joking. I'm not sure. There are lots of women are inferior. You don't have to take it so seriously. Race is better than other races? Yeah. I don't know if he was watching any videos that said that. Women are inferior to men. I don't know about that. Feminism. Feminists are overly aggressive. Well, that's a fact.
I've got an issue with just that word in the title, radicalized. That's assuming you can't take personal responsibility for yourself right there.
Radicalized.
You know, you can get radicalized. whatever. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're exactly right. I'm going to try to find this myself.
What are you looking for?
This interview.
Oh, this is the one you were trying to find?
Well, I like Nathan and everything, but I want the whole video myself.
Oh, the CNN video?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's on YouTube or not. If they got a channel. They probably do.
There it is.
How many subs does CNN channel have? 29,000. It's got 30,000 views on it.
How does the liberal
This is for educational purposes only.
I hope you don't get danged on this one, man.
Well, I'm going to change the playback speed. Go with a little bit faster. We shrink in
You need to pause it like every minute or so and say something.
Yeah.
young man become a follower of the alt-right? You're about to meet a man who says he was radicalized by alt-right figures via their persuasive YouTube videos. He believed their extremist conspiracies.
He believed their conspiracy. Okay, so she's already painting the picture, right?
Yeah.
He believed
And the
all
key
their
word,
conspiracies.
yeah, the key word she said there's he believed. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the whole point. You don't have to believe shit. Go ahead.
exactly.
For years, but then he somehow de-radicalized
Okay, so
for years, but then he YouTube videos. He believed their extremist conspiracies for years.
he believed they're extremist conspiracies. So they have extremist conspiracies, right?
That's
Oh,
not
right.
very vague, is it?
No. I love how she worded that.
But then he somehow de-radicalized himself, and he's now working to help others get out.
Somehow de-radicalized himself. De-radicalized.
Yeah.
Is that even a word? I'm going to have to write that one down. De-radicalized, everybody.
I'm not radicalized as a word. That sounds like something they made up.
Joining us now is Caleb Kane. Caleb, thank you so much.
Look at this dude. Like right off the bat. Come on. Cameron from fucking.
He looks like Ferris Bueller's buddy.
Yeah, Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
If you put a diamond in his ass. Oh, wait, no. If you put a lump of coal in his ass, 2 weeks you'd have a diamond.
For being here to tell your personal story. I think it is so fascinating. So just
So fascinating. Come
Why
on.
does he think it's so fascinating?
Somewhere around, as I understand it, 2015, you were sort of at loose ends. You had dropped out of college. You were looking for direction. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, at the time you would describe yourself as liberal. And somehow online, you found your way to these alt-right videos.
Look at the dopey fucking.
Somehow, like he couldn't figure out how to click the keys to get to YouTube. Yeah.
Somehow, some way. Like it's so amazing.
Some kind of gravity drew him to the keys and made him punch in the alt-right shit.
That's dopey fucking face. I want to punch
Anyway.
him really badly.
Anyway.
And websites. And then describe what happened.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Basically, I was depressed during that period of time and looking for an outlet for that depression. And I turned to YouTube. And
So what are you now?
So problem number one is you turn to YouTube for depression.
Yeah. Well, you're depressed. What's the problem here? Now you must still be depressed. You can't just not be depressed anymore, right?
found a man by the name of Stefan Molyneux, and his content really helped me in a lot of ways. But what I didn't realize was I was being given a political philosophy, and over time,
you're being given a political philosophy. Okay,
like he had no control over the thoughts that were entering his brain.
I've been given political philosophies. Not given. I've heard them.
Yeah.
But I've also said fuck off.
Yeah. or I've said, well, that's a political philosophy and leave it at that.
Changed quite drastically, which was pretty clear to anybody in my life at the time. And really, it just took me to a place where I became further isolated from social groups and just.
You're further isolated from social groups. So you've been in social groups, now you're further isolated from them? Or have you ever been a part of a social group in your life?
Don't be too harsh now, Jared.
Look at where he's looking, too.
It's like he's reading a key card, maybe.
He's spading, yeah.
I don't know. He looked like
ostracized a lot of people in my life very unfairly.
Let's talk about some of the things that you came.
So you started to ostracize a bunch of people in your life very unfairly. Oh, okay, so back to that statement. I don't want to break down every single thing, but this is
pretty clear to anybody in my life at the time. And really, it just took me into a place where I became further isolated from social groups and just started to ostracize a lot of people in my life very unfairly.
Let's talk about some of the things that you came to believe because of these videos. You came to believe, I mean, again, jump in if this is wrong, that other races were inferior to whites. That
what?
You're naive.
So this is obviously CNN. They're pushing their left agenda. So for whatever, so they're trying to demonize the alt-right people are racist and sexist and shit, right?
Yep.
Whatever.
Seems like to me.
Women, I think, or at least feminists were overly aggressive, and women, I think, were inferior to men. You believed that, I guess, Muslims were trying to take over Western civilization, or immigrants were. And how do you?
Okay, how do you come to believe that that's the case? It's happening all over where I'm at. I don't know about you, but I see Muslims and people trying to go nuts.
I don't know about you, man, but I've been doing conspiracy research on YouTube since 2005 or when it first started. And I don't know of any channel I could point to that said any of those things you just said.
Yep.
Can you think of one?
I mean, if there was one, I don't listen to them. Period. The end. I don't sit there and go,
right.
Oh,
Right.
Here
there's a little X up in the top right corner. It's all you gotta click.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to this shit. It's the whole point. Take some fucking personal responsibility.
How many millions of channels are on YouTube right now?
I mean, this guy's probably an actor, and there's a whole setup just to push CNN's bullshit.
I guarantee he's an actor who's a social invert, or whatever you want to call it. Someone who doesn't, who's backed off of social. You're on CNN talking to millions of people, and you're not, not sweating, not nervous, nothing.
Maybe he'll be in the remake of Ferris Bueller.
Dude, he'd be perfect.
Yeah.
And how you came to absorb.
No, I take that back. I like Cameron and Ferris Bueller a lot more than this fucking.
Those extreme views so much.
Shout out to Flatlander, just showed up. You got 5 viewers now.
Due to the people that I was listening to,
record for Jared.
Cultural Marxists and immigrants and Muslims and basically liberals were trying to destroy Western civilization and install some sort of socialist regime. And it's the type of rhetoric you hear from a lot of these people online the whole way across the political spectrum. And really what it boils down to is it's digital hate politics. And
digital hate politics.
Politics. Love this.
You gotta love it, digital hate politics.
That's the term of the day. Digital hate politics. If you can fit that into a sentence today, you get 20 flat points.
And a bozo button.
Ding, ding, ding. Flatlander, how have you been, man? I haven't seen him in a minute.
Leads people to radicalization. And, for me, in my opinion, radicalization, it's a public health crisis.
What?
Radicalization is a public health crisis.
Can somebody look up radical hate? Here, I can do it. Radicalization. I want to know the definition. I want to know it now.
It's a public health crisis. Everybody's getting radicalized.
And we really need to fix this public health crisis through education, through fixing people's communities, and through providing.
Fixing people's communities.
Yeah, that's not very vague, buddy. What do you mean fixing people's communities?
And education, dude.
Yeah.
mental health support I didn't have growing up.
Education is what got us into this clusterfuck to start with.
So he didn't have the support growing up. So he must not have lived in the America that was promised to be great again. America, let's be great again. This guy didn't get the support when he was growing up.
Flatlander said they probably have a shot for that digital hate politics.
Yeah, they do have a shot for that, right?
Yourself out in 1 second, but also when you say it's a public health crisis, obviously we've seen hate crime spike in the past years. We've also
Obviously
we have. Obviously, we've seen hate crime spike. How many of them are real? I don't know. Who fuck knows?
We've obviously seen it spike. I love how she just throws that obviously.
Yeah. We've obviously seen a spike in hate crime.
Were you ever tempted? Did you feel you were veering in that direction towards violence?
There's people getting up every day, man. It's time to do a hate crime. We ain't had one in a while.
Have you been pushed? She just said, "Have you been pushed?" I want to play this again because this is funny.
Obviously, we've had a big spike in hate crime.
All right.
Obviously, we've seen hate crime spike in the past years. We've also seen the rise of neo-Nazism. We've seen more violence. Were you ever tempted?
We've seen more violence. Just a general statement like it.
Neo-Nazism.
Yeah. She's trying to insinuate people are just out killing people just for the fuck of it.
Like it's happening over the
most of the people getting shot and killed is some kind of personal beef with the person they know. Bad drug deal, whatever, you know.
Here it comes.
Support I didn't have growing up and is what led me down this path.
And I'm going to get to exactly how you pulled yourself out in 1 second. But also, when you say it's a public health crisis, obviously we've seen hate crime spike in the past years. We've also seen the rise of neo-Nazism. We've seen more violence. Were you ever tempted? Did you feel you were veering in that?
Play like a minute on slow speed. It would make her sound drunk. It's funny.
Yeah, well, and also you can hear how they just throw shit in there.
Yeah, play it on slow speed for a second.
Yeah.
Towards violence.
Were you ever?
I don't know if I was ever veering towards violence.
I don't know if I was ever veering towards violence. How do you not know that? What is wrong with you?
Never felt that way. But from what I see, the people...
He's like confessing he's just some automaton. He has no control over his own actions or emotions.
He's just a robot, right?
Yeah.
Programmed.
He's programmed by the right-wing media. Radical.
Right.
Yeah.
They feel that their back is completely against the wall. And these were the people that we saw in the New Zealand shooting and the Poway shooting.
Just happened to mention those two shootings, didn't he?
And these people were deeply ingrained within social groups online. And I think...
Deeply ingrained. What the fuck does that mean?
So people who are deeply ingrained in these alt-right videos have the potential to go out and shoot all these Muslims at a mosque.
Shout out to Tominoid. He says, totally I hate crime. Like, ew, gross.
Tominoid, what's up, man? This is crazy.
This is what CNN's putting out to the public sheeple here.
Millions of people. They're watching this, and they're going to go to the water cooler. They're going to go, oh, did you see that guy? He's all crazy. He looks like he's all coked up.
He got radicalized on YouTube. To stay away from YouTube.
Yeah, don't watch YouTube or those crazy alt-right videos. Flat earthers.
You'll get sucked into them and radicalized if you ain't careful.
Anxieties that people have, those systemic anxieties that they have through, their economic situations or their personal lives, it's fixing those situations that's going to keep us from seeing more violence.
By the way, we also need to talk about the role that YouTube played. They directed you to more and more extreme.
They directed him? What suggestions is he getting?
Wait a second, is she blaming YouTube? CNN is...
Yeah.
That's kind of strange.
You found one, and YouTube could tell through its algorithms that you liked it, that you were watching it, that you were engaged. They directed you to more and
YouTube could tell. How the fuck does she know what YouTube could tell?
Yeah, and you're engaged. You're watching it. You're engaged. That's what YouTube does. That's what TV does. That's why they're watching CNN, you freaking weirdo. They're sucked in. They're listening
That's
to
millions of sheeple engaged with you spouting bullshit right now, lady.
Right.
And they think you're speaking gospel truth in their mind.
Yeah, yeah. You're the one you're putting yourself on a pedestal by bringing all this up, right? That's what they're propping themselves up as this. Oh, we're so much better because we're telling you guys about this.
Yeah, here's the problems, and we got a hate crime going on, and people killing each other, and everybody needs to stay away from YouTube. They'll radicalize you. Oh my God,
hate crime is spiking.
Yeah, it's obvious.
Yeah,
and they need to take responsibility for that as well.
I think what YouTube needs to do is they need to have very clear terms of service on their websites of what's acceptable and what isn't.
Now he's going to tell YouTube what to do.
Yep. They need to have clear guidelines on what is necessary, what's good and what's not.
I am a free speech advocate.
Okay, you just said. I want to hear that. That's crazy. He just isn't that double speak or whatever?
He just directly contradicted himself.
Contradiction. Yeah.
I think what YouTube needs to do is they need to have very clear terms of service on their websites of what's acceptable and what isn't.
Okay, so very clear to what's acceptable and what isn't.
I am a free speech advocate, but what I saw on the platform was people taking advantage of this algorithm, and the algorithm does not care about what your politics are. It cares about watch time and keeping you on platform. The AI that they use for this is called reinforce, and the whole idea is to keep you.
Well, what is he supposed to be, Neo in the Matrix or something? The algorithm is attacking him,
and he's not reading. He's not reading anything.
Yeah,
he's not reading anything. He's not reading anything, is he?
Not at all.
Who speaks like this? You're talking to millions of people, bro.
That algorithm was attacking me. I hate when those algorithms attack you.
Care about watch time, keeping you on platform. The AI that they use for this is called reinforce, and the whole idea is to keep you watching more and more.
Look at his eyes just go and they move. Whole idea.
Just keep watching more and more. You'll get addicted to it. You won't be able to hit the X button and go outside.
What else you gonna do? You have people not want to watch? Is that what they're supposed to do? So not keep it engaging. Don't make it inform. I mean, seriously.
And extremists come online and take advantage of that.
So Caleb,
how do you know? How do you know extremists come online and take advantage of it? Are you an extremist?
Yeah, that's a sweeping generalization. He has no facts to back that up. But go ahead.
Wow.
We're almost out of time. What's your
isn't that unfortunate? We're almost out of time.
Message to other people who, as you say, have fallen down the alt-right rabbit hole? How did you pull yourself out?
I pulled myself out because I started getting exposed to other ideas.
How did you get exposed to other ideas? Other YouTube videos?
Basically, started to educate myself on the problems and
started to educate yourself. Wow.
the issues.
Couldn't do that.
Support from others.
He also reached out and got moral support from others. You mean in your social
other ideas? I basically started to educate myself on the problems and the issues. And I also started to reach out and get emotional support from others.
Reaching out for that emotional support. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that is what we're trying to do with my team and I.
Your team?
You have a team? He's fighting the alt-right radicalization with his team.
So
Good
he
for
goes
him.
on YouTube, starts listening to Stefan Montague or whatever. He's like, yeah, this guy makes a lot of sense. And then he's like, wait a second, I'm going to educate myself. This ain't right. Now he's got a team to go out and do what?
I have a bunch of volunteers, and we basically
Volunteers.
He's got a bunch of volunteers. They're basically going to do something, as you're going to talk about.
set up digital platforms to try to de-radicalize young people online.
De-radicalize.
Oh, they're going to do a good deed, de-radicalize people.
Prevention and compassion-based conversations.
Social intervention and compassion-based conversations. That's how they're going to defeat it.
And it's really to combat, once again, this whole thing of digital hate politics, which leads to radicalization.
Digital hate politics, which leads to radicalization. I've got to write this shit down. This is funny.
You got a new chatter named Dream Science. Welcome to Jared's channel.
Hey, what's up? CNN is the scud.
If anybody cares, the St. Louis Blues won their first Stanley Cup yesterday.
Dream Science can't stop watching this. Dude, I know. It's crazy, right? Like, I'm going to radicalize you. I'm going to radicalize you to the point where you're going to re-educate yourself and then de-radicalize yourself. And then go out and help others get de-radicalized. Volunteers, your team.
Let's go ahead and radicalize everybody in the chat right now.
You guys have all been radicalized. Welcome to my channel, the radicalization of
Hitchhiker's Guide to Earth. I think this is his first day, so welcome to him.
Hitchhiker, what's up, man? How you, man? You need a wrench? Dude,
Somebody ban Hitch while he can.
Hitch, check this out. So
I'm going to ban Hitch since he don't have a wrench just for the fuck of it.
I pulled myself out because I started
He
getting
pulled
exposed
himself
to
out.
other ideas. I basically started to educate myself on the problems and the issues. And I also started to reach out and get emotional support from others.
Isn't that something? Start to reach out, get that emotional support.
And that is what we're trying to do with my team and I. I have volunteers, and we basically set up digital platforms to try to de-radicalize young people online.
Okay, digital platforms. Digital platforms. De-radicalized.
You know, when you've been de-radicalized, you know how painful that can be, right?
You know, there was a movie called Rad back in the day. It's a bike movie.
Yeah.
Radical. That's radical, man. Radical. You've been radicalized.
Shout out to Slow Minger.
We're doing that through social
Slow.
intervention
What's up,
and
man?
compassion-based conversations.
That's what I wanted to hear.
To try to de-radicalize young people online. And we're doing that through social intervention and compassion-based conversations. And it's
Social intervention.
Compassion-based conversations. Who the hell talks like that?
Compassion-based. Compassion-based conversation. Wow. This guy's just full of it.
It's really to combat, once again, this whole thing of digital hate politics, which leads.
There it is. This whole digital hate politics. It's just. If you got digital hate, let it out.
to radicalization. And this radicalization is a huge public health crisis.
Yeah.
that we
Public
really
health
need to
crisis.
solve.
Good
A
for you.
huge public health
Good for
crisis.
you.
Oh, good for you, Caleb.
There's people in every city every day running around doing hate crimes. Oh my God, I got to go do a hate crime. It's such a public health crisis.
Good
What are
for
we gonna
you.
do? We just got to shut YouTube down, man. People are getting radicalized on YouTube. Shut it down.
He educated himself. I wonder where he educated himself. Not on YouTube, right?
No.
I will put on Instagram a link to where people can find the help that you've found. Thank you very much for sharing your personal story with us today.
Thank you very much for being a dizzy bitch spouting the public bullshit.
Well,
Merle's got a good point. How dumb can we get?
it's
Anyway, can I bring your attention up to, was you doing something else?
nope. Go ahead.
Well, I know you know our friend Jamie Brown's got a new video.
Jamie Brown does?
Yep.
Cool.
Go to his channel real quick and check it out.
All right.
Go to like the 7-minute mark. He's looking at a mountain. He's like, we must be on a globe because why can we see this shit? You just have to look at it. Jamie's Journey is the name of his channel now. Anybody else want to go on this panel?
Yeah, no shit. Which one
I
is
know
it?
me and Jared are entertaining, but shit.
Where's Jamie's Journey?
Should come up. I saw it on the Flat Earth Live when I got up today. But that's the name of his channel, Jamie's Journey. What the fuck? Try typing Flat Earth after Jamie's Journey. I think Merle just linked it in the chat for you, or at least he put a link in there.
Put a link in the chat.
Merle did. Is that Jamie's link, Merle? That could be something else random. I don't know. I can't click on it.
I'm here today.
No, that's not it.
Wow. Jamie's Journey.
No, that's not him though. That's somebody different. Oh, that's it right there. That's it. Issues with Flat Earth. That's it.
Welcome everyone. Thanks for stopping by on my channel.
Fucking loaders, brother.
Quite a while ago. You know, some people might need
What's
a visual
leaving?
to understand what I'm actually trying to say here. So let's just do that. So we go to screen share. There we go. That. So come up with some images of the Toronto skyline. And I put in 30 miles away, just try and get some from a good distance away. This is one of the known ones, Rogers Centre, visible 30 miles away. But notice something here, the compression actually kind of acknowledged this quite a while ago. That the height of the tower was way off because with the height of the tower, it's like, well, Roger's center should be visible because the proportions are all wrong.
What's
so,
the name?
But then I sort of thought, well, it's a compression effect. That, you know, that it's getting squished at this bottom section. That somehow the angle is less at this part of it. Now, thing is though, I've not heard any like other good explanation than it being refraction. You know, that the light is bending in such a way that the angles at the bottom are smaller than the angles at the top somehow, because the way that the light is focusing at a smaller angle due to the way the rays are being bent as they're coming through the atmosphere. But I mean, the globe seems to have a pretty good explanation for it. But on a flat Earth, you have to sort of subscribe to upward bending light, which means that the light would be bending upwards, as opposed to downwards, or just not.
I'm trying to follow what he's saying. I really don't get it.
At the surface,
I don't get it either. What's he talking about? What do you mean they have a good explanation for it? So what? It's like you're giving them credit for being good bullshit artists. You there? Hello, hello.
But isn't that Roger? Isn't that the Jennifer Rideau one where you shouldn't even be able to see that Roger Center, that white thing there?
density is usually the most, because the pressure is the greatest at the bottom. So the density is going to be much more lower than it is going to be way up, high somewhere. Well, actually, it's not going to be that much different, but it's going to have an effect, a noticeable effect on how we see things over a long distance, like 30 miles or so. So people use this one as a proof, actually. The Chicago skyline, but you can't even see the bottom of it. I mean, so you can see it here. It's like, I mean, yeah, there's seems to be some compression going on, but I mean, but to me, I mean, refraction, can explain things. If the light is, let's just say we were on a globe, right? The light is going to follow the path that, kind of when it hits the boundary of a denser medium at an angle, it's going to bend toward that denser medium. So if the light is, say you've got a 100-foot building, and then there's like this bulge of, Earth, and then basically that light is going to be coming in to the denser Earth, and it's going to actually bend down, and it's going to some degree follow that curve. It's not going to be exact. It depends on conditions, but it would theoretically be able to kind of be lifted somewhat. So when people cite these sort of things as proof of a flat Earth, that you would need to know, what the difference is, from ground level up to the top of the object and see if there's any variations going on. Not just because people talk about, from point to point, but that's no good. You need the vertical, temperature gradient, pressure gradient. You need to have all this stuff taken into account, so then you can find out what the density change is to see if there's going to be any possible looming happening where the object is lifted somewhat.
So he's claiming that object's looming up.
Another one, Canigou. Canigou is like a, Canigou mountain, so like 160 miles away. Let's see this one, all right? Oh, hang on, look at this one. What's going on here? And yeah, there's a bit of mirroring, but how could this small amount of mirroring obscure all of this? Are you kidding me? What's going on here?
What do you mean by obscure?
I mean, am I missing something here? But I mean, this is supposed to be a flat Earth proof. I mean, just think about it. I'm not trying to push any, model onto anyone, but just think if you, if you believe it's flat, then what is causing this? Because, I mean, what's causing this apparent blockage, this obstruction thing that's going on? I mean, it would have to be some kind of refraction on a flat Earth, but can you even get that refraction to happen? So, this mountain's supposed to be about 9,000 feet. So what we're talking is like about 7,000 foot missing, or even more of it missing. I mean, what's going on?
I don't know enough about this to respond. I mean, there's probably smarter people. No,
it's just cherry picked or whatever. I mean, you get the same effect happening, all the time. Not all the time, but whenever this is visible, so much of it is cut off. Yeah. I mean, this was from a higher elevation though, so this one, you could see a bit more of it.
What is he talking about?
he's saying that part of that mountain's missing from two different pictures, but this has got something to do with perspective and shit, but I don't even want to try to address it because I don't know enough about it. That mountain that he's talking about is 160 miles away. It's a Canigou one. You can only see it like when the sun's behind it a certain day of the year or whatever.
Okay.
And so that's like 160 miles away. So when you have the angular reduction of the size of the object, I don't understand what he's getting at, that we're missing. He's saying we're missing 7,000 feet of mountain. I don't understand what he's saying, really.
I don't understand either. If you're seeing any part of the mountain, I would think from a certain distance it'd be.
If anybody in the chat wants to get on here and rebut this, come on. I'm not qualified. I'm going to shut up. Sean Hawkins will come on here and tell us.
No, fuck that.
How about Musicians for Truth? He might know how to do it.
He's in the call.
Get on here and tell us, Drew, if you got time. I don't claim to know shit. I know we're not on a spinning oblate paroid zipping through
I'm not
infinite galaxies.
Fuck, well, why are you like? I don't get why Jamie would let a technicality.
Well, I guess to him it's not a technicality. To him, it's a good point. So I don't know.
Still not
That
moving.
mountain's 160 miles away, so it's going to reduce in size, right? From where you're looking at it.
That's what things tend to do.
I don't know. I don't want to try to rebut it. I don't want to make some claim I don't know shit I'm talking about, so I'm going to shut up.
Well, I mean, you don't have to shut up.
I mean, about this, I'm not going to claim to know what to say. I mean, it's your channel, man. What do you think?
I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I mean, I don't get what he's. Well, hold on. I'm like, wait. What do you mean, hold on?
He said, "What's going on here?" And he had that comparison of the two mountains, like it meant something. So
you just got to think to yourself. I mean, if you're after the truth and all that, you just got to think, well, how is it that this is actually possible on a flat Earth? Now, I've tried to come up with all kind of theories as to how it could possibly work, and then sometimes I think to myself, maybe this could work, and then I start doubting myself because I'm like, no, it actually doesn't seem to work because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, so I'm having to kind of play all these kind of mental gymnastics in order to make it work. It's like, maybe I'll just get to a point where I'm like, forget it, you know, there's just no point. It's not even worth my time trying to, you know, explain any of this stuff because it's just, I mean, to me, it's more of a globe kind of proof, really. If you're being objective, I mean,
that's the disconnect right there. I don't know why he thinks it's globe proof.
Yeah, I get, you know, the whole compression thing, but what's causing the compression? Oh, angle of attack. Bullshit. Okay? It's, you know, it's going to be refraction because it varies on conditions. But what I'd like to see is, you know, no compression and no obstruction. Because people say, oh, angular resolution limit, whatever, diffraction limit. Well, if it's diffraction limit, then shouldn't I be able to get a camera with a larger aperture and then bring that detail back that's been lost because it's been compressed into the diffraction zone because there's not enough light coming into the camera, even though you can see a small detail of the object. You might say, well, it's compression, that's because the angles are being compressed. And then even if you do acknowledge that it's refraction causing that, well, what is causing that? I mean, is it upward refraction or downward refraction? Because if it's upward refraction, which it would have to be on a flat Earth, then how is it that you could, you know, I mean, how is it that things don't appear where they should appear?
What do you mean where they should appear,
I
man?
mean,
we don't know where they should appear. They're just appearing where they're appearing.
Sorry, kind of got mixed up there. What I mean is that when you've got upward refraction, there has to be a reversed density gradient, so it would have
A
to go
reverse
from
density rate. Why does there have to be?
less dense at the surface. Yeah, if the Earth's less dense at the surface,
I don't know shit about this, man. That's why I'm just keeping my mouth shut.
Because generally you have the more denser at the surface because that's where most of the pressure is going to be because the weight is all pushing down on that kind of, or whatever, pulling, whatever. I mean, it's like,
see, he's assuming
everything gets kind of pushed to
this is how it should be
more at the surface.
It's like, dude, if it's not matching how it should be, It doesn't mean that it's not. You know what I mean? It could be either way, bro.
I mean, the little bit I know about it's 160 miles away if you're talking about that mountain. So obviously it's going to look smaller that distance away. But the point is, to me, that we shouldn't even be able to see the mountain at all.
Exactly. We shouldn't be able to see the mountain at all. He's taking in refraction when it's
I'm
like
just pointing stuff out that, you know, if it's not
I mean,
flat,
what are we missing if that's what we're thinking, you know?
else, any
I see Jamie in the chat all the time, and he never wants to come on.
Yeah. I don't feel qualified to even try to rebut that.
start doing an exploration.
Yeah, I can think what he wants to think. I just don't follow his logic.
No problem him thinking what he wants to think.
You can't even explain simple things like that.
I just don't follow his logic there. I mean,
I don't either. I would like to have him on to see what he was thinking.
I'll stop sharing now, but you get like
Merle, can you make some sense out of this shit? Or what are you doing?
the thing.
Anybody in the chat want to come on here and respond to Jamie's issues here?
The actual instrument. Shouldn't the error be random?
Calling out to the chat for help. Right now, Musicians for Truth and Sean Hawkins are arguing with each other.
My stalker, Sean. Jeez.
They're arguing about which channel they want to debate on. Sean Hawkins wants to go on Jose, the gold digger guy. And Musicians wants to go on Nathan's. How about do it on Jared's channel right now? I'll sign out.
I can't be a moderator. I gotta go to work.
Fuck work, man. Call in.
Fuck. That's impossible.
That's the one main thing that keeps me Uber driving. I get to pick when I work. I still work too much, but at least I get to pick the hours, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Everything packed. Should be good to Gizzo.
You don't want to debate Hawkins, man. He's a time waster.
Dude, it's a huge waste of time. Because all he's going to do is try to find
we know what they think and they believe in their assumptions and they know what we're going to say. So what's the point?
And never are they going to ever come to the conclusions that we have all came to. Not because we're crazy, but because we are logical.
Musician just got off work. He's going to have a beer and go to bed. Peace, man.
All right, man.
If there's anybody else in the chat that feels qualified to try to rebut Jamie's issue here.
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know. I haven't done enough research to even. It sounds like word salad to me. I don't know what he's getting at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We see a fucking mountain, and he's talking about we're missing 7,000 feet of mountain. I don't understand that part.
Something like that. Again, I'm like you. I'm kind of in the dark. I don't know what he's getting at. And even if
you might be right, Iron, but Jamie did do flat Earth hangouts for like a year or so. So, you know, I don't know. I try to take people at their content. I'm not worried about their person. You know.
So So you're not
What time
working?
what time you gotta go to work, man? 'Cause I can't stay here a lot longer.
I'm going in right now.
Shit. Play a video or something.
I'm gonna keep this going in case somebody wants to get on here and
We'll play a video or something because I can't stay on here.
yeah, I'll play a video.
All right.
Here, I know what I'll play.
Play whatever you want, man. I'll let you play the video, man. I'll go ahead and jump off here. Have a good one.
All right, brother.
And what are the photographs? What do they tell us? On 3 separate occasions, our office asked NASA's Public Relations Department for every single picture of an astronaut on the surface of the moon, just during the maiden voyage of Apollo 11. Many duplicates were sent. In all, fewer than 20 pictures were found, including first-hand investigation on site at the agency's vault archives. Quite surprising, considering the historical significance of the event. These very photographs are the same ones circulated year after year on anniversary commemorations. It is estimated that in just the first 6 minutes on the moon, motivated by the tenuous nature of the circumstances, many more exposures could have been expediently taken. Also surprising is the scarcity of photographs of the mission's chief pioneer, Neil Armstrong, the greatest achievement in human history, and of the man whose first step echoed around the world, dawning a new age of scientific enlightenment. There is only one.
Being the Moondog, Part 1, by David Gallen. As read from the Center for an Informed America's website, which is centerforaninformedamerica.com. Follow the tab for Wagging the Moondoggy under features, I believe, and you can read along as well. Thank you to Dave, who passed last year after a very brief but tragic battle with small cell lung cancer. Prolific researcher, voracious reader. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Wagging the Moondoggy, Part 1 by David Gallen. It's strongly believed that man will fly directly from the Earth to the moon. To do this, it would require a vehicle of such gigantic proportions that it would prove an economic impossibility. It would have to develop sufficient speed to penetrate the atmosphere and overcome the Earth's gravity, and having traveled all the way to the moon, it must still have enough fuel to land safely and make the return trip to Earth. Furthermore, in order to give the expedition a margin of safety, it would not use one ship alone, but a minimum of 3. Each ship would be taller than the New York Empire State Building, almost a quarter-mile high, and weigh about 10 times the tonnage of the Queen Mary, or some 800,000 tons. Werner von Braun, father of the Apollo space program, writing in Conquest of the Moon. I can see all of you scratching your heads out there, and I know exactly what it is you're thinking. Why are we taking this detour to the moon? It all began a few months ago when I became very busy with my day job, as well as the family drama, which turned out to be a very time-consuming side project, all of which made it increasingly difficult for me to carve out chunks of time to work on the remaining chapters in the Lord Canyon series. Over the next 2 months or so, I pretty much lost all momentum and soon found it hard to motivate myself to write, even when I could find the time. That happens sometimes, though it sounds rather cliche, writer's block, a very real phenomenon. Many times when I can sit down, keyboard, It will just flow out of my head faster than I can get them down on page. There are also times when producing just one halfway decent sentence seems to be a near impossible task. This was one of those times. I found a new source of inspiration, however, when my wife emailed me the recent story of the fate of Dr. Moonrock, which I and many others found quite amusing. It also reminded me that I had a lot of other bits and pieces of information concerning the Apollo project that I collected over 9 years that have passed since I first wrote about the alleged movement. After taking the first look back in 2000, I was pretty well convinced that the landings were in fact faked, but it was perfectly obvious that the rather short, mostly tongue-in-cheek post that I put up back in July of 2000 was not going to convince anyone else. So I contemplated taking a more comprehensive look at the Apollo program. Toward that end, I pulled out my original Apollo post along with various other bits and pieces scattered throughout the newsletters and all the newer material that never made it onto my website and then combed the internet for additional information. In doing so, I realized that a far better case remained what I had previously offered to readers. I also realized that a far better case could be made than was currently available on the net. I was rather surprised, actually, by how little there is out there. A couple of books by Bill Casing and Ralph Renee, a smattering of websites, and a variety of YouTube videos of varying quality. Virtually all of the websites and videos tend to stick the same ground covered by Casing and Renee. And they almost all use the same master photographs to argue the same points. So too do the sites devoted to debunking the notion that the landings were faked. And those sites seem to actually number the hoax sites. While suffering through the non-uniformity of the various websites at both sides of the aisle, it became perfectly clear that the hoax side of the debate was in serious need of a fresh unique among the big lies told to the American people in that it was, in the grand scheme of things, a relatively benign lie, and one that could be easily spun. Admitting that the landings were faked would not nearly have the same impact as, say, admitting to mass murdering 3,000 Americans and destroying billions of dollars worth of real estate, and then using that crime as a pretext to wage 2 illegal wars and strip away civil, legal, and privacy rights. And yet, despite the fact that it was a relatively benign lie, there is a tremendous reluctance among American people to let go of the notion that we sent men to the moon. There are a couple of reasons for that, one of them being that there's a romanticized notion that those were great years when one was proud to be an American. And in this day and age, people need that kind of romanticized nostalgia to cling to. But that is not the main reason that people cling so tenaciously, often even angrily, to what is essentially the adult version of Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy. What primarily motivates them is fear, but it is not the lie itself that scares people. It's what the lie says about the world around us and how it really functions. For if NASA was able to pull off such an outrageous hoax before the entire world and then keep that lie in place for 4 decades, what does that say about the control of the information we receive? What does that say about the media, the scientific community, the educational community, and all of the other institutions we depend on to tell us the truth? What does that say about the very nature of the world we live in? That is what scares the hell out of people and prevents them from even considering the possibility that they could have been so thoroughly duped. It's not about being lied to about the moon landings that people have a problem with. It's the realization that comes with that revelation. If they could lie about that, they could lie about anything. Sorry, my neighbors are apparently listening to some music. It has been my experience that the vast majority of the people who truly believe in the moon landings know virtually nothing about the alleged missions. And when confronted with some of the more implausible aspects of those alleged missions, the most frequently offered argument is the one that every conspiracy theorist has heard at least 1,000 times. They can't possibly be true because there is no way that a lie that big could have been covered up all this time. Too many people would have known about it. But what if your own eyes and your own innate, though suppressed ability to think critically and independently tell you that what all the institutions of the state insist is true is actually a lie? What do you do with that? What do you do then? Do you trust in your own cognitive abilities, or do you blindly follow authority and pretend as though everything can be explained away? If your worldview will not allow you to believe what you can see with your own eyes, then the problem, it would appear, is with your worldview. So do you change that worldview, or do you live in denial? The moon landing lie is unique among the big lies in another way as well. It is a lie that seemingly cannot be maintained indefinitely. Washington need never come clean on, say, the Kennedy assassinations. After all, they've been lying about the Lincoln assassination for nearly a century and a half now and getting away with it. But the moon landing hoax, I would think, has to have some kind of expiration date. How many decades can pass, after all, without anyone even coming too close to a reenactment before people start to catch on? 4 obviously haven't been enough. How about 5, 6, or 7? How about when we hit the 100-year anniversary? If the first transatlantic flight hadn't been followed up with another one for over 40 years, would anyone have found that unusual? If during the early days of the automobile, when folks were happily cruising along in their Model Ts at a top speed of 40 miles per hour, someone had suddenly developed a car that could be driven safely at 500 miles per hour, and then after a few years, that car disappeared for many decades. Despite tremendous advances in automotive technology, no one ever again came close to building a car that could perform like that. Would that seem at all odd? There are indications that this lie does indeed have a shelf life. According to a July 17, 2009 post on CNN.com, quote, "It's been 37 years since the last Apollo moon mission, and tens of millions of young Americans have no memories of watching the moon landings live." 2005-2006 poll by Mary Lynn Dittmar, a space consultant based in Houston, Texas, found more than a quarter of Americans 18 to 25 expressed some doubt that humans set foot on the moon. The goal of any dissident writer is to crack open the doors of perception, enough to let a little light in so that hopefully the seeds of a political reawakening can be planted. There are many doors that can be pried open to achieve that goal, but this one seems particularly vulnerable. Join me then as we take a little trip to the moon, or at least pretend to. If NASA had really wanted to fake the moon landings, we're talking purely hypothetical here. The timing was certainly right. The advent of television, having reached worldwide critical mass only years prior to the moon landing, would prove instrumental to the fraud's success. Wired magazine. Adolf Hitler knew a little bit about the fine art of lying. In Mein Kampf, he wrote that if you're going to tell a lie, make sure it's a really big lie. Truth be told, I'm not exactly conversant in the German language, so that might not be an exact translation, but it certainly captures the gist of what the future Führer was trying to say. He went on to explain that this was so because everyone in their everyday life tells little lies, and so they fully expect others to do so as well. But most people do not expect anyone to tell a real whopper. You know, the kind of brazen, outlandish lie that is just too absurd to actually be a lie. The kind of lie that is so over the top that no one would ever dare utter if it was in fact a lie. You know, this type of lie, according to Hitler, will fool the great masses of people, even when the lie is so transparently thin that it couldn't possibly stand up to any kind of critical analysis by anyone actually exercising their brain rather than just blindly accepting the legitimacy of the information they're fed. For example, the rather fanciful notion that the United States landed men on the moon in the 1960s and early 1970s. That's the kind of lie we're talking about here, the kind that seems to defy logic and reason, and yet has become ingrained in the national psyche to such an extent that it passes for historical fact. And anyone who would dare to question that, quote, historical fact, needless to say, must be stark raving mad. Before proceeding, I should probably mention here that, until relatively recently, if I had heard anyone putting forth the obviously drug-addled notion that the moon landings were fake, I would have been among the first to offer the said person a ride down to the grip store. While conducting research into various other topics, however, it has become increasingly apparent that there are almost always a few morsels of truth in every conspiracy theory, no matter how outlandish that theory may initially appear to be. And so despite my initial skepticism, I was compelled to take a closer look at the Apollo program. The first thing that I discovered was that the Soviet Union, right up until the time that we allegedly landed the first Apollo spacecraft on the moon, was solidly kicking our butts in the space race. It wasn't even close. The Soviets launched the first orbiting satellite, sent the first animal into space, sent the first man into space, performed the first spacewalk, sent the first three-man crew into space, was the first nation to have 2 spacecraft in orbit simultaneously, performed the first unmanned docking maneuver in space, and landed the first unmanned probe on the moon. Everything the U.S. did prior to actually sending a manned spacecraft to the moon had already been done by the Soviets, who were clearly staying at least a step or two ahead of our top-notch team of imported Nazi scientists. The smart money was clearly on the Soviets to make it to the moon first, if anyone wants to do so. Their astronauts had logged 5 times as many hours in space as had ours, and they had a considerable amount of time, money, and scientific talent, and perhaps most of all, national pride riding on that goal. And yet, amazingly enough, despite the incredibly long odds, the underdog Americans made it first. And not only did we make it first, but after a full 4 how we did it. The question is clearly begged is a simple one. Why is it that the nation that was the field of space travel, not only to the moon back in the 60s, but still to this day have never made it? Could it be that they were just really poor losers? In truth, the entire space program has largely been, from its inception, little more than an elaborator for the research, development, and deployment of space-based weaponry and surveillance systems. The media never talk about such things, of course, but government documents make clear that the goals being pursued through space research are largely military in nature. For this reason alone, it's inconceivable that the Soviets would not have followed the Americans onto the moon for the sake of their own national defense. It's not just the Soviets, of course, who have never made it to the moon. The Chinese haven't either, nor have any other industrial nation, despite rather obvious fact that every such nation on the earth is beyond recall, and young readers might want to cover their eyes and ears here because the information to follow is quite shocking. In the 1960s, a full complement of home electronics consisted of a fuzzy 13-channel black and white television set with a rotary tuning dial, rabbit ears, and no remote. Such cutting-edge technology as the pocket calculator was still 5 years away from hitting the consumer market. It is perfectly obvious, of course, that it was not consumer electronics that allegedly sent man to the moon. The point here, though, is that advances in aerospace technology mirror advances in consumer technology. And just as there has been a revolutionary change in entertainment and communications technology, so too has aerospace technology advanced by light years in the last 4 decades. Technologically speaking, the NASA scientists working on the Apollo project were working in the dark ages. So if they could pull it off back then just now. particularly easy, needless to say, for America to do it again. Since we've already done all that research and development and testing, why then, I wonder, have we not returned to the moon since the last Apollo flight? Following the alleged landings, there was a considerable talk of establishing a space station on the moon, and of possibly even colonizing Earth's satellite. Yet all such talk was quickly dropped and soon forgotten. And for nearly 4 decades now, not a single human has been to the moon. Again, the question that immediately comes to mind is why? Why has no nation ever duplicated or even attempted to duplicate this miraculous feat? Why has no other nation even sent a manned spacecraft to orbit the moon? Why has no other nation ever attempted to send a manned spacecraft anywhere beyond low Earth orbit? Is it because we already learned everything there was to learn about the moon? If so, it could reasonably be argued that it would be possible to make 6 random landings on the surface of the Earth and come away with a complete and thorough understanding of this heavenly body? Are we to believe that the international scientific community has no questions that could be answered by a return trip to the moon? Is there no military advantage to be gained by sending men to the moon? Has man's keen interest in exploring celestial bodies, evident throughout recorded history, suddenly gone into remission? Maybe you say it's just too expensive, but the 60s were not a particularly prosperous time in U.S. history, and we were engaged in an expensive Cold War throughout the decade, as well as an even more expensive hot war in Southeast Asia. And yet we still managed to finance no less than 7 manned missions to the moon, using a new, disposable, multi-section spacecraft each time. And yet in the 4 decades since, we are apparently supposed to believe that no other nation has been able to afford to do it even once. While we're on the subject of the passage of time, exactly how much time do you suppose will have to pass before people in significant numbers begin to question the moon landings? NASA recently announced that we will not be returning as previously advertised by the year 2020. It means that we will pass the 50-year anniversary of the first alleged landing without a sequel. Will that be enough elapsed time that people will begin to wonder? What about after a full century has passed by? Will our history books still talk about the moon landings? And if so, what will people make of such stories? When they watch old preserved films from the 60s, how will they reconcile the laughably primitive technology of the era with the notion that NASA sent men to the moon? Consider this peculiar fact. In order to reach the surface of the moon from the surface of the Earth, the Apollo astronauts would have to have traveled a minimum of 234,000 miles. Since the last Apollo flight allegedly returned from the moon in 1972, the furthest that any astronaut from any country has traveled from the surface of the Earth is about 400 miles, and very few have even gone that far. The primary components of the U.S. space program, the shuttles, the space station, and the Hubble telescope, operate at an orbit